Hey team, I know a lot of you out there are asking the question of how to run a 5 minute mile. And it took me a little over a year to break the 5 minute mile barrier when I was in high school. The first time I ran it, I ran the 1600 meter in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And my sophomore year in high school, I lowered it from starting at 5:30 my freshman year, getting it down to 5:09 by the end of my freshman year, to my sophomore year running 4:38 for 1600 meters, and then eventually running 4:22 for the full mile, 1609 meters. And I did that in college. So you, more than anything, you have to have a high focus on excellence if you want to break a 5 minute mile. It takes an enormous amount of overall fitness to run this time, to hold 4 consecutive laps under 75 seconds per lap. So obviously you want to train, get to a point where you're doing repeat 400s, 8 to 1600 reps at around sub 70 seconds per rep. Okay, and obviously at the beginning of a build up, your paces are going to be slower, so that might mean starting off at around 76 to 77 seconds per rep, giving yourself maybe 2 minutes of recovery, and then working your way down to where you can do those repetitions at, say, like 67 to 70 seconds per rep with 45 seconds to 60 seconds rest in between each one of your repetitions on the track. That's the type of workouts, you want to get to a point where your tempo runs. If you're training for a mile, the great thing is it's not like training for the marathon where you have to do these longer tempo runs, but a tempo run of anywhere from 3 to 4 miles, training for the mile, is really going to help you psychologically and obviously provide a huge physiological boost in order to break this sub 5 minute mile barrier. Okay, if you're doing tempo runs at, say, 520 to 525 mile pace, 3 to 4 mile run at that particular pace, it's slightly slower than goal race pace, but again, you're running at such a high intensity and you're running for a long enough duration that you're really going to provide that physiological boost that you need. And over time, over a 3 month to 4 month block of training, your chances of breaking the 5 minute mile barrier are really going to be heightened, because again, you're really stressing the body's anaerobic systems, you're improving your body's lactate tolerance, you're doing the proper types of workouts. Okay, the types of workouts I would be focused on, and the ones that I was doing when I was in high school, to by the time I graduated from high school, I got my 1600 meter time to 425, and eventually, when I was in college, ran that 422 mile. But the types of workouts I was doing throughout that time frame, was repeat 800s, and I would do repeat 800s anywhere from 220 to 226, again, under 5 minute mile pace. Repeat 400s, well under 70-second reps. It might be anywhere from 63 to 67 to 69, around that range. Obviously, giving myself more rest at the beginning of my build-up, and paces were slower because obviously I wasn't as fit. It's the same with you. Okay, we all have to start somewhere. So if you're trying to break the 5 minute mile barrier, be patient with yourself. It's not an easy time to achieve, but it can be achieved. And if other athletes can do it, so can you. Okay, your volume and your overall weekly volume does have to have, I would advise focusing on one VO2 max workout per week. So that might mean doing repeat 200s at, say, 430 mile pace, okay, or repeat 300s at the same pace, repeat 400s at around 440 mile pace. Okay, if you're doing this, okay, and doing extremely fast VO2 max workouts, like repeat 100s on the track, all out, okay, and you're going to give yourself full recovery between each one of those reps. That might mean doing 10 100 meter sprints, all out, full recovery, but you're running, again, you're going to recruit more fast twitch muscle fibers by doing these types of workouts. And doing hill repetitions, find a 200 to 300 meter hill nearby where you live and do hill repetitions every other week. Okay, that obviously it's going to force you to lift your knees, pump your arms more, really help you focus more on your form, because you're going to need to stay and you're going to need to teach yourself to run relaxed at very high paces. Okay, if you look at the best middle to long distance runners, these athletes stay relaxed, and it's not an easy thing to do. That's why over time, this running fast is an art form. Anybody can go out and run slow. But if you can teach yourself to really consciously tell yourself to, I'm relaxed, or if you feel like you're tensing up, or your face is tensing up, or your shoulders are starting to rise, consciously tell yourself, I'm in control, I'm in great shape, I'm ready to do this workout, or I'm ready to run this race. Consciously tell yourself to stay calm, stay cool, stay collected, and you're going to run at a very high level because of this. Okay, if you're too stressed out, both mentally and physically, your performance will suffer. Okay, so my advice for the athletes out there, such as yourself, that's trying to break the 5-minute mile, is to really pay attention to the muscular tension you're feeling in training, and do the very best you can to stay relaxed and to calm yourself down when you're running at faster paces. Even when you're running slow, there's times where you start tensing up. I mean, obviously, I've noticed that over the years too. And just, it takes practice, it takes time. But with anything, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. Okay, so right now, if maybe your personal best is 6 minutes and 2 seconds, don't stop thinking it's possible. It is definitely possible to run 4:59. And granted, it might take several years, it might take several months in your case. You know, every athlete's different. So there are athletes that have an enormous amount of genetic talent and don't really have to run as much volume. And then there's athletes that don't have as much talent, physical talent, but they have an enormous amount of work ethic, who need to run more mileage, and it may take them longer to break the 5-minute mile barrier, but it doesn't matter how long it takes. Did you do it or did you not do it? Okay, I would much rather train for 10 years to achieve a goal that I truly wanted, rather than quit too soon and wonder the rest of my life if I could have done it. Okay, that's the mindset I had when I was really in heavy training in high school, college, and when I was running professionally. I mean, I truly wanted to get the very best out of myself, and I was willing to spend the amount of time that was needed in order to do that. You know, it took me from when I was 15 years old when I first started running until I was 31 years old to break the 2 hour and 20-minute marathon barrier. So 16 years to go from that athlete that was a 5:30 1600 meter runner the first time I ran the mile, the 1600 meter event, 9 meters short of a mile. In high school, it took me 16 years to go from a 5:30 1600 meter athlete to be able to sustain 5:19 mile pace, 26.2 miles consecutively. Okay, so it's about longevity. It's about believing in yourself and putting in the proper amount of work in order to break a 5-minute mile, the 5-minute mile barrier. Obviously, you want to also make sure that you're running the tangents on the track. Try the very best you can to stay in lane 1. Run the least amount of distance as you need to. That's a minor thing because this race is so short. It's not like running in a road race where tangents really will really get you big benefits. But even the less amount of distance that you can run on the track, the better. Okay, focus on a negative split. Don't go out so aggressive. If you're trying to break a 5-minute mile, don't go out the first lap of the race in 1:04. Okay, your goal is to hold 1:15 or faster per lap. So go out maybe 1:17 the first 400, and maybe a 1:15 the next lap, and then go 1:12, and then run your 1:08, 1:09 the last lap. Okay, of course it's going to hurt extremely bad in the last 2 laps of this race, but again, if you run a little bit more conservative in the first 2 laps of the race, your chances of breaking 5 minutes is really going to go up, because again, you're not redlining, you're not going to oxygen debt, you're not going too anaerobic too soon. And again, this race is highly anaerobic, so you have to really pay attention more on speed rather than volume. Okay, you're not training for a marathon. Marathon speed's still important, but stamina and endurance is even more important in a race of that distance. In a race of the mile distance, because it's so short and it's over so quick, you really have to pay attention throughout your training week at very high intensities, but also making sure that you're jogging on those easy days so that, again, you recover from the hard training you're doing. So I hope this is helpful for you all that are trying to break the 5-minute mile barrier. I have created resources on RunDreamAchieve.com with training plans that can help you break this barrier, and I hope that's helpful for you. And definitely check out the resources below these videos as well as on RunDreamAchieve.com. And I wish you all the best in your journey of breaking the sub 5-minute mile barrier. I know you can do it. And if you have any other questions, any other topics you'd like me to cover in my next videos, feel free to leave a comment below, and I will respond back to you. And I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you guys and gals all in the next video.